John Wayne is an asshole. Who knew? This is The Searchers.
Hey guys, welcome to Seen and Heard.
Hi.
This is the podcast where two entertainment assistants talk about the Sight and Sound 100 greatest films of all time list. We ping pong from the top of the list and the bottom of the list. So one week we're doing a movie off the top. The next week we're doing one off the bottom. Still, bottom on the 100 greatest films of all time is not too shabby.
So far, the bottom's been pretty great. And I think that's a relevant statement for today's movie, which is number 7.
Number
top
7.
of the list. John Ford's classic, The Searchers.
From 1956.
It's the year my dad was born.
Oh, this is 2 years before my parents were born. Mm. Well, Jackie, what have you been watching this last week?
It's been a crazy week, and I haven't really had a chance to watch anything. Literally, I think since Yi, the only thing I've watched is A Matter of Life and Death.
Oh, really?
By
You
the
saw it?
Archers. Another great movie.
Oh, you liked it?
Loved it.
Yeah. It's a good
1946. It was just like...
Wait, that's on the list.
It is?
Yeah.
Oh, great.
It's on the top 100. We're going to get to
It
that.
deserves to be. I mean, actually, I would rather have the red shoes on there.
Me too.
But it is a great movie. And Roger frickin' Livesey
Is
plays
back.
a hot doctor who rides a motorcycle and has a beard. Are you kidding me? As if I didn't love him enough.
It's great.
It's a really good movie. It was so funny and so quick-witted and heartwarming, but not corny ever. Like, I don't think it's a corny movie. Except, the romance is a little quick, but it's also kind of satirical. I think it is kind of a satire.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
Yeah, and the guy from the Red Shoes
Oh, yeah.
is in it as this gay French aristocrat.
Yeah.
It's like the angel sent to bring him up.
Yeah.
It's so funny.
And so lush.
Yeah.
Almost more so than Colonel Blimp.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's like
get
really
all
a
that
romance and
other
it's
the
like
heaven
a
stuff and
fantasy.
you got all
the
that.
heaven stuff. It's so interesting that heaven is in black and white and the earth is in
Yeah.
color. Like, it's great.
Yeah.
They even make a joke. They're like, oh my God, like we don't have Technicolor up there. Like it's a funny movie.
Yeah.
Anyway, I loved it. For being the only movie I've seen since Yi Yi, I'm glad it was that.
That's the only movie you've seen
Yes.
since Yi.
Yeah, I'm
Unacceptable.
pretty sure.
I'm just kidding. Wow.
I know. It's been a really, really busy week. Now tell me the 10 movies you've seen since Yi Yi.
I haven't seen 10. I've seen like 2. One, I rewatched a movie. Actually, I hadn't seen this all the way through. It's called The Legend of Hell House. It's an early 70s movie with Roddy McDowall, and it's a haunted house movie. I mean, I'm going to see any of these movies that are half decent because I love the haunted house genre. And it's pretty good. It's a British movie from the early 70s, and it's basically a riff on The Haunting, or Shirley Jackson's The Haunting of Hill House. And it's just it's noteworthy because it's a very abrasive movie. So like usually, like if you think of The Haunting or you think of The Innocents, I think you probably haven't seen either of those, have you? Unacceptable. So the great tradition is these slow, atmospheric haunted house movies. This movie throws you fucking in. It's very abrasive. Shit's slamming, shit's flying off the tables. People are getting slapped on their ass. People are getting clawed up. It's like very abrasive. It's so like for that, I appreciate it. Like it has this just like no nonsense attitude. It's not a great movie and it kind of peters out by the end, but it's still, for someone like me who gets off seeing any haunted house in a movie, like it's worthwhile to spend an entire movie's runtime. Also, they waste no time getting to this house. It's a first scene. It's like, here's the house. Here's the setup. The guy's going in the house to prove the existence of ghosts. Uh-huh. And then 2 minutes in, we're at the fucking house and we're there for the whole rest of the movie. Cool. So for me to spend 90 minutes in this like gothic, haunted, Victorian looking house, that's my dream come true. So I saw that. Not great, but worthwhile. And then I saw a movie called Jackass Forever. The film club took a little field trip. Some of us took a field trip to the Alamo Drafthouse downtown and saw Jackass Forever, which felt in some ways weirdly nostalgic because I was 12 or 13 when the first Jackass movie came out, and my friend and I had to have his older brother get us into the movie. So I don't know if I've seen all of them in theaters, but I definitely saw the first one. And it's just crazy. It's such a part of, like, I haven't watched those in so long.
Yeah, the last one I saw was with a porta potty, and I saw it in the theaters.
That might have been 3 then.
They like porta potty up, and
was
all
it
the
like
shit
10
goes
years
flying.
ago? Yeah.
Like, but I think I was in high school and I went with my friends and we laughed our asses off.
Yeah, it's that kind of thing. This one it's just more of the same, except they're in their like late 40s, early 50s.
Isn't it dangerous? Don't they like?
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's getting to the point.
Sprain an ankle at this point. Break a hip.
It's way worse than that. Like there's a scene where Johnny Knoxville gets hit by a bull and he's passed out and he's like making this loud snoring noise and they can't wake him up. And literally he goes, this isn't in the movie, but he said this since he went to the doctor and like the doctor's like, if you have one more injury like this, you're going to die.
Jeez.
So do you know the Thai filmmaker who they call Joe? His real name is like Apitapong Worsethical or something like that. Have you seen like Uncle Boonmi, Who Can Recall His Past Lives, or Cemetery of Splendor?
It's on my list, the Uncle Boonmi one.
So, okay, it's fucking amazing. Everything I've seen of his is like, he's like one of the best filmmakers of this generation. Truly. In fact, when I first saw Uncle Boonmi, I felt like the movie had been made for me. It was such a Thai movie. I don't know. It just feels like something where they were like, Greg, what do you want to see in a movie? And then they just like took notes and then they just like made that movie. But anyway, long story short, he has a new movie out that has Tilda Swinton in it called Memoria.
Yes, this has been on my list.
Okay, so I just found out. Do you know how they're showing this movie?
No.
Not traditional release. Okay, so it played at like AFI Fest, which now I wish I would have fucking gone to because I saw they were playing it and I was like, I don't want to deal with those crowds. Basically, it's permanently on tour. So in the US at least, it's always playing at one specific theater in the country. It stays there for a week, then it moves to the next theater.
It's
then it
not
moves to the
getting
next
a
theater.
home release.
No home release, no streaming.
That is so cool.
And apparently it's going to play in theaters forever. It just plays in one theater at a time. And I don't know if it's come to LA yet besides LA Fest. And I'm just bummed. It's cool,
really cool,
but I want to fucking see it. And all my letterboxed friends saw it and they're
How
giving
did
it
they
all
see it?
Probably at AFI Fest. And I'm like, God damn it, I just want to see this movie. And while it's a cool idea, just let me see the fucking movie, please.
But look how much you want to see it because it's so hard to see.
There's a good chance, again, I haven't seen the movie, but based on what I've seen from it and based on his other movies, there's a good chance that would be my favorite movie of 2021. But
wow, Tilda Swinton. She always finds the coolest stuff.
You know
to do.
why? She doesn't give a fuck.
She doesn't give a flying fuck.
Yeah, she doesn't.
I love her so much.
She doesn't buy into this like Hollywood bullshit. She doesn't care about these huge paychecks. She's not like swinging her weight around.
She's so great.
She recognizes talent and she's like, yeah, I'm going to do this movie.
Yeah, she's great. I want to see that really bad. And I think that is so cool.
It's cool. When it comes, we'll have to organize it.
How old do you think we'll be when
40?
You're going to have like 3 kids.
Oh, God. Then I won't be able to get away. Or I'll take the kids, too.
Let's
get into
I'm like
this
let's
movie by John Ford called The Searchers. Sorry, John Wayne from 1956.
Good job.
What makes a man to wander? What makes a man to roam? What makes a man leave bed and board and turn his back?
The Searchers is a 1956 epic western directed by John Ford, based on the novel by Alan LeMay. The screenplay was written by Frank Nugent, who was Ford's frequent collaborator. After a violent raid on his brother's homestead in Texas by a tribe of Comanche, Civil War veteran, Confederate side, Ethan Edwards goes on a 5-year quest to find the tribe and rescue his niece Debbie, who was taken captive. He's joined by Martin, a young man whom Ethan's brother adopted and raised after his parents were also killed by Native Americans, and he also happens to be 1/8 Cherokee. Throughout the 4-year adventure, it becomes more and more clear that Ethan's prejudice is so strong that he believes Debbie is lost to the Comanche, and he intends to kill her when he finds her. Eventually, they do find her, and he doesn't kill her. He brings her home to the Jorgensen family, their neighbors who have helped them during the search, and Ethan walks off into the distance as the door in the most revered doorway in cinema history closes.
Indeed it does.
The film stars John Wayne as Ethan Edwards, Jeffrey Hunter as Martin Polly, Vera Miles as Lori Jorgensen, who's the daughter of the Jorgensen family, and she's Martin's love interest, Ward Bond as the Reverend/Texas Ranger Captain, Sam Clayton, and Natalie Wood as the older Debbie. Fun fact, her sister Lana Wood actually plays younger Debbie. The film takes place in Texas. It starts in 1868 during the Texas Indian Wars. The story is inspired by a real-life kidnapping and subsequent rescuing of Cynthia Ann Parker. Did you hear about her? Did she come up when you were like doing your notes? Okay, so she was taken during an attack on her family's home, very similar to the movie, and she witnessed her family being killed. And she was 9 years old, and she was found 24 years later by Texas Rangers when they did this raid of her adopted tribe. And she was married to the chief. She had like 3 kids from him, and they found her and they brought her back to her family, but she had such a hard time adjusting, and she didn't want to live back in like white society. She'd forgotten English. She'd forgotten her family. And so she tried to run away a few times, and eventually she starved herself to death.
Oh, God.
Isn't that
That's
crazy?
Sad. Yeah.
Yeah, that's actually all I have for specs.
Well, that wasn't enough. Keep going.
What else can I say about this movie? It wasn't that well received when it came out. It has grown in popularity immensely. I mean, crazy.
Yeah, it has.
I mean, it's considered the greatest Western of all time.
I think especially someone like Scorsese, I know this is like one of Scorsese's all-time favorite
You know,
movies.
it's interesting, it is, but I also read a review he wrote in 2013 where he basically talks about like everything wrong with the movie.
Really? I did not see that.
You should read it. It's really good.
Yeah.
Okay. Initial thoughts.
I'd seen this once before, probably about a decade ago, and I didn't think much of it. So this whole time, in the last 10 years, I'm like, okay, gotta revisit. Like, I'm sure this is a monumental work. I love Westerns, by the way. How do you feel about Westerns?
I like.
You like? Okay. Well, I'm a pretty big Western fan. And but here's the thing. I'm not like super knowledgeable. Like, I'm not a Western expert. I wouldn't come on here and claim to be some expert. But in my head, there's 2 different types of Westerns, okay? There's the classical Hollywood Western, which John Ford fits into, and Howard Hawks, and any movie with John Wayne or Jimmy Stewart, or like they made so many Westerns. That's a classical Hollywood Western. On the other side, you have the spaghetti Westerns that were kind of popularized by Sergio Leone with his Dollars trilogy, and people like Sergio Corbucci and stuff, who in the 60s were doing really cool, interesting things. I fucking love those movies. I love the Clint Eastwood Westerns. I love the Sergio Corbucci ones. Maybe my number one favorite Western is a Sergio Corbucci movie called The Great Silence. And it's so fucking good. Music by Ennio Morricone, who's probably the single greatest composer of all time. Klaus Kinski is the villain. It's fucking amazing. It's snowy. The whole thing, it's a snowy Western. I'm not trying to go on a huge tangent about the Great Silence, but it's so fucking good. And it's like vivid, and it's violent, and it's sad, and it's scary, and it's like everything a Western should be. So I just want to put that out there right now. Like, I prefer
Spaghetti Westerns.
Spaghetti Westerns.
Yeah. I prefer, what's the word I'm looking for? Anti-Westerns?
like your favorite.
McCabe and Miss.
Oh, no, I was going to say the Coen Brothers True Grit.
That too.
But yeah, McCabe and Miss Miller is a
McCabe and Miss
straight
Miller.
up.
Yeah, I really love Butch Cassidy. Like, I really love it.
Yeah.
But that's an anti-Western.
Yeah, sort of. Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
Because it's about like the death of the Western. Anyway, continue.
Yeah. So I was really excited to revisit this because in the meantime, I've seen like the Bud Bedecker, Randolph Scott Westerns, and I've seen more Howard Hawks. And I never liked John Wayne growing up. He just like didn't appeal to me.
Yeah,
like I said, I was more of a Clint Eastwood fan. But like, you know, I've seen Stagecoach, which John Ford did, which was John Wayne's big break. I really like him. I think John Wayne is good in that movie. I've since seen Howard Hawks' Red River with John Wayne. Again, John Wayne's good in it. Good movie. Guess what? I don't fucking like this movie. Okay, I don't want to say I don't like. I think it's fine. I think this movie is just... Here's the thing with this movie. I see in it everything I want from it, and it doesn't give me what I want. And I think this is a movie that's better in your head than it is when you're watching it. The title, The Searchers, the look of the movie. Of course, no one shoots Monument Valley like John Ford. But I think the idea of this movie, of them going, searching for years for Natalie Wood, who's been taken and stuff, is such a cool idea.
Yes, I agree.
And we'll get into this later. I'll just very briefly say, I think this movie muddles itself with too much extra shit, too many extra characters, too much slapstick humor, that it loses its way. And I think it undermines the dark undercurrent that is running throughout it. It's like, this is a serious, somber, dark film, but for some reason, John Ford resists it every step of the way and tries to lighten it up and tries to...
Stupidly so.
Yeah,
like,
add
it
these
comes
romances
out stupid.
and stuff.
Yeah.
So I'll let you go. I'll just say that this is not a favorite. And I absolutely do not think that this should be on the Sight and Sound list. I don't think it should be anywhere near the list. And I do think its reputation... Number 7 of all time. I think its reputation is from the subversiveness of the John Wayne role of like, oh, now he's playing this kind of piece of shit anti-hero, and like, oh, he's kind of racist, kind of dark. But so what? We've had a million movies like this since. And even before this, Red River, he's also kind of a piece of shit. And that came out probably 10 years before this.
He's a piece of shit, and it just came through in his work.
Tell me, Jackie, what do you have to say about The Searchers?
Okay, so it's been a long time since I've seen it. I've only seen it once, and I'm pretty sure I just watched it for Natalie Wood. Like, it was a long time ago. And of course, she's only in like 15 minutes of the movie.
If even. Probably like 5, 10.
Actually, you know what? I think Lana Wood is in it for more than Natalie Wood
I think so too, yeah.
So yeah, I think that there's a lot of good in it, and I mean that in like entertainment value wise, and mostly when I say entertainment value, I mean like visual value. But I think, okay, so this movie is so well crafted.
Is it?
I think it is, craft wise. Think about sound, think about cinematography, think about, no? You don't think the cinematography is great?
I think it's occasionally beautiful, but I think that the film is not put together. Like, I don't think it flows very well. Yeah,
totally. And it's so praised by all these auteurs. It's on all of their lists that I think that it's been given a free pass for way too long. Like, way too long. And let me just say this, okay? Peter Pan comes with a disclaimer at the start of the movie that says, oh, you know, like, the depictions of Native Americans in this film are wrong and offensive. This movie doesn't come with fucking shit.
Yeah, but that's a Disney thing. Yeah.
I understand. No, HBO did it for Gone with the Wind. Why isn't there one for The Searchers?
Oh, well, then absolutely. Yeah, there should be. Yeah.
Like, it's crazy. Here's what I just want to read what Roger Ebert said, because I think that he really, really nails it. Here's what he says, okay? He says, Ford knew that his hero's hatred of Indians was wrong, but his glorification of Ethan's search invites admiration for a twisted man. Defenders of the film point to the famous scene where Ethan embraces his niece instead of killing her. Can one shot redeem a film? And then he goes on and he says, is the film intended to endorse their attitudes or to dramatize and regret them? Their attitudes being kind of like the racist attitudes of everyone in this movie. Mm-hmm. And I think that he gets it. And he gets so much like what I feel about this movie. It's like, I love the idea, like you said, I love the idea of a rescue mission. I love the idea of coming home and this motif of coming home in a doorway and entering the doorway and leaving home. Like, it's great.
Beautiful.
Right?
Beautiful shots.
They are.
Yeah.
I love the ending. Okay? I love the cradling, the dropping off on the porch. I love him walking away. I love the idea of complicating things by having a protagonist who sucks and has bad traits. But I think that genuinely this movie just can't get over its own racism. Like, America, like, when it came out, obviously wasn't at a point where prejudice was as much of like a make or break character trait as it is today. And to have him not be punished in any way, shape, or form and not change his beliefs and to still have that beautiful ending, like, he doesn't deserve that beautiful ending in any world. And that's what bothers me the most, I think. Like, and audiences bought it, and that's what bothers me the most.
Right. See, here's where I differ with you. I don't necessarily think that he needs to get his comeuppance in the movie. Like, I don't necessarily think that bad characters need to get taught a lesson at the end or need to have something shitty happen. Just because, honestly, in real life, that rarely does.
I agree, and I like
happen.
movies that don't give them the redemption,
Right.
but this movie does give him redemption.
It does.
I'm saying redemption
It does.
in quotes.
No, it does.
That's the problem.
And honestly, it's this tricky thing where, like, I do feel like behind the camera, they're kind of agreeing with what's going on.
Exactly.
And
Exactly. That's what I
Yeah.
think. That's what Roger Ebert was trying to say.
Do you know what star rating he gave it?
He gave it 4 stars and
Oh.
put great movie, but he's
See-
writing it like, that's the thing. People love to point out the racism, but also say this is such an incredible movie. And it's like,
really not.
It's really not. Even for the
No.
reasons you were saying, it is slapsticky. Like, what's that like town idiot who's just like,
The fucking guy with the guitar.
like, no, not that guy.
Oh,
I
not
mean, the
that guy?
drunk, is he a drunk?
Oh,
is he like,
you're talking about yeah, I forget his name. Starts with a B. Yeah, the bald guy.
yeah. Like,
Buster. Or
that's
something like that.
silly. The Reverend, who's also a Texas Ranger, is
that was
silly.
that was a little funny.
The guy
kid-
with the guitar is stupid.
yeah, or like Marty constantly getting pushed back in that bench and he
I
he
actually
falls
don't mind
backwards.
that much. I actually don't. And you know what? I actually like Lori.
Here's the thing: I actually laughed a couple times in this movie, but I don't think it belongs in this movie. Not to say that you can't have these things side by side. Not to say you can't have humor in an otherwise kind of dark and somber movie.
That's what I'm saying. I like dark and somber movies, and I like protagonists who have horrible character traits and don't get redemption in the end.
Yeah.
But the way that this movie sells it, that like he does get the redemption and he has that beautiful dropping off his niece, like that's what bothers me.
Yeah. But of course, then there's been much conversation about the opening and closing shots of this movie. But
it's
the
beautiful.
fact that he drops her off and he's the only one that doesn't enter the house because he's not with everybody else. Everyone else comes through the house. He stays outside, which is where his place is, before turning and walking away. Kind of pointing out that, hey, maybe this guy's like a little bit of a piece of shit. And
what if there was one scene like between him just like chasing her and she's scared for her freaking life, and then he just like picks her up and says, "Let's go home"? What if there's a scene there where he like shows a little remorse, like apologizes for making her fear her life after searching for her for 5 years?
yeah,
Like,
no, he's
I don't know. And like, okay, yes, I do think, see, that's the thing. I do think that Ford thought that he was trying to be, like, he was just pointing out racism, right? And like, he does the classic ones, you know, oh my God, when he shoots the guy that's buried, he shoots his eyes out so that he can wander forever and he can never have peace. Like, killing the buffalo, which was stupid. Like, dude, how many buffalo are you possibly gonna kill? He shoots buffalo so that the Comanches will have less to eat.
Yeah.
But in reality, how many buffaloes do you think he actually killed by shooting
5?
from that far away?
I don't know.
I don't even think that
If
many.
even
Do you know how
3?
many
I don't
shots
know.
it takes to kill a buffalo?
That's true. Those are big boys. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, that's, I
Yeah.
don't know. So it does that, and then it points out racism in general around them, but it doesn't seem genuine enough. Like, it's often just a joke, or people just move on very quickly, you know?
It is made light of.
Yeah, like, what about, okay, what about those, like, white girls that they rescue? Like, there's a group of white girls that these American soldiers have rescued from various tribes, and they're just like
psychotic.
Yeah, they're psychotic. They're taught they literally are psychotic, and they're like, wow, hard to believe they're white, but they're not saying it in like an ironic way. Like,
And of course, they're all women.
yeah, they're all women. And it's like,
Yeah.
what? They're literally acting like psych patients.
Yeah.
Like, why? What?
Because they're so easily corruptible. And yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and we do have a scene where we see people displaced, but it's not treated with tenderness at all. Like, if there was like a close-up on someone's face, like a woman who's literally being driven out of her home or something, like, you get what I mean? It's not genuine.
Yeah.
Like,
It's
I don't know.
It's not. I think, okay, this movie is incredibly problematic. And I think here's one plus, right? I guess for being a movie from 1956, this big American production, there's actually a lot of actual Native Americans in the movie. But the leader, Scar, is
Yeah.
a fucking white guy.
he has blue eyes.
Yeah, with brown makeup on his
Yeah.
face. So you kind of fail there. Like, yeah, sure, you hire a bunch of Native Americans, but then you have this white guy
Who's the lead, yeah.
Which the message to me is like, oh, you don't trust a Native American actor to do this like
Yes.
pretty central role.
Yeah.
So you're gonna just hire a white
All
guy.
the actual Native Americans have no speaking roles.
Yeah, exactly. And then the woman that he marries.
Oh, please don't get me started.
I mean, come on.
Like, and that's another one, right?
Here's the thing, it's played for laughs. When Marty
He kicks her.
Let's explain it. So in the movie, Marty is bartering with the Native Americans, and as he's leaving, he realizes that he's accidentally gotten a wife, bartered for a wife, and so this Native American woman follows them, and the whole time John Wayne is cracking jokes about it to Marty, like, "Oh, you got yourself a Mrs. Polly," and so there's a moment where they're going to sleep for the night on the floor. And on the ground.
Poor
and
thing just goes and
Marty
kicks
just
her.
winds up and kicks her with all of his might. And she rolls down this hill.
My jaw dropped. I was like,
And it's played for laughs.
you know, that's what Marty actually talks about a lot in that essay. He's like, I watched that and I was like, what the? He said, I watched it recently and that scene like really bothered me. He's like, I just couldn't believe it. Like,
yeah, and here's the thing, the camera doesn't, so she gets kicked out of frame. Yeah. And then we don't see her.
tumbling down in the dirt.
We don't see her for what felt like 20 seconds afterwards. Like we don't know if she's okay. Like it's played for laughs. We cut to
And then they kind of rustle her up and they're like threatening her now, saying like, where's Scar? It's like, this woman just like cooked you guys dinner, one.
Yeah.
Two, she has literally been sold into marriage.
Yeah.
Like it's, and then, okay, so this is what I'm saying where it's like, it's not genuine. They then, like a few scenes later, they find a village, a Native American village that has been raided and wiped out. Mm-hmm. And they find the wife. She's
dead.
there. First of all, she ran away from them because she was so scared. And she's there and she's dead. And Marty goes, oh, well, why'd they have to kill her? Like that's it.
Yeah.
That's it. And then they move on. Like,
Yeah.
she didn't do nothing wrong. And then they go and like talk with the soldiers. Hey guys, like, have you seen any
if
white girls lately?
If this was the movie it was supposed to be, that would have haunted Marty for the rest of the movie.
Yeah.
And you would have seen him grappling with what he caused.
Yeah.
And instead it moves on and it kind of makes it's this very quick moment. And like you said, then he's talking in
That's
the next
it.
scene. And
Like-
it's like nothing happened.
Yeah, exactly. That's the problem.
Here's the thing. Okay, I know I kind of said this earlier, but like, besides all the problematic shit in this movie, and there's a lot,
It's still not that good.
it's not a great film. Because here's the thing. One of my all-time favorite movies is Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom, which is a very problematic movie. Like, very racially insensitive. Just, like, the main woman in the movie, you know, Kate Capshaw is, you know, famously this just, like, shrieking character. Like, there's a lot that you could pick apart about Temple of Doom, and I acknowledge that it's not a culturally sensitive movie at all. But it's so fucking well made that I love it. And I apologize, you know, it's like, I recognize that's problematic, but like it's a good movie. This with the Searchers, it's not even that great of a movie.
Very repetitive. It's
And
a
here's
lot
the
of
thing.
like camping out.
John Ford, who was basically John Ford and John Wayne were like Scorsese and Bobby De Niro. You know, like it was that kind of relationship where they worked together so many times. Here's the thing. John Ford is known for his very lean directorial style. So if you watch Stagecoach or you watch some of his other films, or even like The Quiet Man with John
I've
Wayne.
seen it.
The Irish one? Yeah, I like that movie.
My dad loves that movie.
But like, they're maybe Quiet Man not as much, but John Ford's westerns are known for being lean, and I like them because they're lean. And this is not a lean movie. This is 2 hours, which again, you could still have a lean 2-hour movie, but this movie does not feel lean. There's so much fat to it. It doesn't flow well, and it just never gets the tone down.
I agree. I really agree. Let me say what I like about the movie.
Let's hear it. Yeah.
Okay, so like I said before, I love this whole like theme of coming home, this motif of the doorway. I think that is beautiful and it works. But then again, yeah, we have all these like silly, stupid, like 7 brides for 7 brothers kind of thing.
Oh, that's
like,
a great comparison.
You know, it's so funny. I was thinking it when I was watching it, and then Roger Ebert literally brings it up in his review. Yeah. He says like when we get to the wedding scene, so Laurie's going to marry this like, I don't know.
Who the fuck is this guy?
Singing cowboy.
Yeah.
She's going to marry him because she's sick of waiting for Marty.
Jackie.
Yeah.
That guy is so ridiculous. We're going to play a clip of him right now just so people can hear him talk.
No, wait. I think it might be my favorite sound.
Okay. Let's wait.
So yeah, I totally agree. But I do like the whole doorway motif. Like, I think he should have just stuck with that. Coming home, it's great. Here's what I think is like the best thing about this movie is the Martha and Ethan relationship, the implied romance. Martha is his brother's wife.
Yeah.
So a lot of people think that Debbie is actually Ethan's daughter, because when he picks her up, when he first comes home from the Civil War, he picks her up and he goes like, God, I forgot the other girl's name. They're 2 sisters. He thinks it's the other daughter, but he's never met. It's been 8 years, I think, since he's been home. And they go, no, this is Debbie. And he's like, oh, Debbie. And it's like kind of, people think that it might be his daughter because he's clearly in love with Martha. He gives her like a very tender, she is his homecoming. She's the one in the doorway. She opens the movie.
Yeah.
She's who he comes home to.
Yeah. And when he leaves and she's kind of watching him out the doorway.
He watches her all over the room. He watches her go into the bedroom. Yeah. He watches his brother go into their bedroom at night, kind of sadly from the porch, like go in and close the door. And, it's actually, there's another great shot. It's the Reverend / Texas Ranger notices like the care that Martha puts into like bringing Ethan's coat out when they're about to leave. It's little things like that. It's told completely visually. Their relationship is told completely visually, and that is great.
I totally buy that too. Yeah,
it's great. Yeah. That's one of my favorite things about this movie. Truly, if not, maybe honestly, that might be the best thing about this movie.
Wow. Here's the thing. I don't think that
Okay, here's a few other things. No, Go ahead. Do you have something to say?
No, go ahead.
Here's a few other things I like, okay? Yeah. I like how there isn't a big showdown at the end. Like, I like that Martin just kills Scar. There isn't.
There's a little bit of like a, I don't know.
Like a little bit.
Horses are charging.
But it's very much focused on Ethan trying to find Debbie. And I kind of like that.
Yeah.
And I also like that we don't see the Comanches attack the homestead. We don't see their violence. We don't see them being these like wild killers that they're like depicted to be in every other Western. So I think that it has that kind of going for it. I mean, it's a very small consolation, but I do like that we don't see it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much all I like about this movie. I like Laurie. I think that she's actually really funny.
Yeah.
But I don't think she belongs in I don't think that fun kind of like flirty, we've been going steady for 10 years.
It's a different movie.
Yeah, it kind of is. Yeah. It kind of is.
I think so.
But I did think it was really beautiful when Martin comes home. And not home, but to the Jorgensens, and it's her wedding day, and he has no idea what's going on, and he turns and sees her in her wedding dress. Like, that's beautiful. If they didn't have that silly relationship, like if it was an actual relationship, I think that would be really moving.
I will say, though, it's not played that well, I think.
Yeah, I agree. And you know what? Maybe now's a good time to talk about some of the differences between the book and the movie.
Yeah.
So in the book, the biggest difference is the ending, essentially. So in the book, what happens is they have the whole, it's very similar until it's time to take Debbie. And what happens is Ethan comes in, he's on a horse, he sees a woman who he thinks is Debbie, has her same hair, has her same look. He just grabs her off the horse. You don't know if he's going to kill her, take her home. You don't know. And then it turns out it's just another woman from the tribe. She takes out a gun, fucking kills him.
Oh my
God.
God.
So you never know if he's going to kill Debbie or take her home, which is great. And he dies. I think that's a really good ending.
Yeah.
That happens. Debbie runs away because she doesn't really want to go with them.
Right.
Martin eventually finds her and they start their journey home. You never see them reaching home, but Lori marries someone else. Like it said that she married someone else. See, like,
that's what I wanted from this.
The book sounds really good, actually.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know.
Here's the thing, right? If those two changes, right? That would improve this movie so much.
I think so too.
Because it's just, the end with the doorway is great. Well, Godfather did it better. But like,
Inglourious Bastards did it better.
What?
It's like the whole beginning of Inglourious Bastards when Shoshana's running away.
Oh, well, I was talking about the doorway being closed in front of someone.
Oh yeah. Yeah,
I mean,
you're
she does.
right.
But like the closing of the door onto someone.
Yes, exactly.
But like, it's just so vanilla. It's so vanilla. This is such a white fucking movie.
You know who probably loves this movie?
Who?
Sam Elliott.
We found out today.
So yes, today the news dropped today that Sam Elliott hated The Power of the Dog, which is a great Western because I love anti-Westerns. Great movie, gonna win Best Picture. You heard it here first. Sam Elliott today came out, or it was yesterday, and said that it made him extremely uncomfortable. What does Jane Campion know about the American West? What else did he say? The homosexual undertones of the movie made him really uncomfortable.
God damn. Such an ignorant fucking thing to say.
He probably loves this movie.
I'm sure this is his favorite. I'm sure this is his number one.
Yeah.
And look, not to shame anyone, and to like, if you do love The Searchers, like I'm not coming for you. Maybe Jackie is.
Listen, Godard loved this movie.
Really?
It was like in his top 10 favorite movies. It's in Cahiers du Cinema. It's on their it's in their top 10 best movies of all time. I don't know when that list was made.
I almost wonder if this is one of those movies where, of course, it was released to not a lot of attention or not a lot of praise, gained traction, and has since is slowly falling out of favor.
Is it though? No disclaimer on HBO Max.
I'm going to say right here, because we're saying it, it's falling out of favor. If
Let's
Jackie and I say that, then that's what's happening. So, okay, I'll say this too about Natalie Wood in this movie. So in your head, right, because it's such a famous part of this movie that Natalie Wood's taken, and then 5 years later they find her and she doesn't want to leave, right? That's the whole thing.
Okay, listen, she doesn't want to leave for 0.5
Exactly.
seconds.
It's
and then when Martin's in the tent,
seconds.
oh, Martin, and they're hugging.
She's so easily convinced to come back with them.
And also, why is Martin shirtless?
Yeah.
It makes it unnecessarily sexy.
Yeah, it does. Here's the thing too. Okay, as great as the ending to this movie is, what would make it better is if we got to spend, there's an epilogue to the movie. Okay, so let's say Ethan, lives, whatever. We have the movie ending. He walks away. Now there's an epilogue where we live the next year or 2 years with Debbie and see the psychological effect that this has had on her, and see her trying to adapt back into everyday life. That would have been infinitely more interesting.
Look at the story it's based on. Because the real life story it's based on.
She just becomes an object, right? She's
totally.
Just a damsel in distress. That's really all she is.
Totally.
She's just this object that's supposed to be saved and
supposed to be killed in a lot of people's opinions.
Yeah. And the movie doesn't give a fuck about what's going on with her psychologically.
Yeah, exactly. If you trimmed 10 minutes of them camping out, and what's that random dude who gives them information and then tries to kill them, and then John Wayne has to kill him. If you took out that whole sequence and dedicated 10 minutes to Debbie at the end,
yes,
it would already be a better movie.
Yes. Let me tell you this, okay? There's a moment in this movie. It's not my favorite site, so I'll say it. There's a moment when they find Debbie and they find that she's integrated into the tribe, right? And it's Ethan and Marty, and they're in this almost like this little alcove, there's so a canyon,
and you can see her running.
No.
When she's running down the hill, she's behind them. They don't see her.
Maybe.
And yeah, it's she runs to them, and she goes She's just looking at like, sis, why did you run to them if you don't know them / recognize them?
Well,
like,
no. So what I was going to say is there's a moment where Marty is just filling up, like there's some water trickling down and then and Ethan's there. And I think,
after.
Does Ethan have his shirt off?
Yes, because he's been shot with an arrow.
Okay. More of the movie needed to be like that because there's a certain poetic quality that scene has. First of all, there's running water, which is one of my triggers. But also, it's just this like, here's the thing.
He writes his will. He leaves everything to Martin, who he's hated the whole movie because he's 1/8 Cherokee and has the same exact skin tone as him, by the way.
In quotes, half-breed.
Yeah.
Who he gets called the... And again, nothing inherently wrong with that because it's illustrating
that he's
what a piece of shit he is. But again, the movie does not go far enough to support what the filmmaker's stance, right? But it's such a great scene. So I love movies like this where it's basically a road movie, right? For a lot of it. It's Ethan and Marty traveling from place to place as they're kind of on the trail. Here's what we don't get in this movie. We don't get a real sense of despair, right? And we also don't get a real sense of time passing. 5 years passes. 5 years that they're searching for her.
Yeah.
We don't feel like that's passed in the movie.
No.
And John Wayne gets a few gray hairs, and that's about it.
Yeah.
That's all we get. There needs to be more.
Yeah.
There needs to be quieter moments. Take out some of these jokey plot lines and stupid slapstick shit and get quiet moments of them just kind of suffering out in the wilderness.
Agree.
Like, that's what it needed.
Yeah.
It needs to be heavier. It needs to be more somber.
I never felt like they were in danger.
No.
Because
John Wayne is such a sharpshooter. Like, again, when that guy tries to kill them and he's up on that rock and he takes them, like, there's no fucking danger at all.
I agree.
So, yeah,
those letter. What do you feel? How do you feel about the letter sequence where it's like Martin is writing Gloria a letter?
I like it. I don't have a problem with that.
Yeah, it's okay, but it indicates time. That indicates it a little bit.
Yeah, but like not in a substantial way.
No.
I don't think the soundstage work in this movie does a lot to illustrate that point of like, because it always feels a little artificial and we don't feel like they're ever really in danger and we don't feel like they're really out in the elements and stuff. And we don't get the survival stuff. Like, we don't see them really hunting for their food or cooking their food.
Looking for water.
Also, what's with this fucking scene where Marty's trying to sleep next to the fire and Ethan keeps throwing logs on? I was laughing. He's like, Ethan, that's enough. Like, I'm hot enough. And he's like half naked. Also, the scene where he's in the bathtub.
Yeah, Lori is this bitch is bold. I like it. But it's like, does it belong in this movie?
Yeah,
she literally just comes in, and then she's wearing jeans in the next scene, by the way.
Yeah. I don't get this. See, for me, have you seen the Nicholas Ray movie, Johnny Guitar? Okay. It's what I wanted this to be. Like, this is stuck between Johnny Guitar and, like, you know, something much more somber. And it just doesn't have this, it doesn't find this middle ground. And it just...
I agree.
This movie doesn't work very well.
Can one shot save a movie? I don't know.
No.
I don't think so.
No. Let's just say, too, we're not John Wayne fans.
That's true.
But that shouldn't matter. A great film is a great film.
That's true. I agree. John Wayne really did a number on your favorite movie, Midnight Cowboy. Said he hated watching those two homosexuals. Said something like that.
That's his quote?
Something like that. That's not a direct quote, but yeah.
Can I just say, I love the fact that John Wayne hated Midnight Cowboy.
Good.
I love that. Because fuck him. If John Wayne loved Midnight Cowboy, then I'd have to really question it.
Right. Also,
what makes him think he can comment? It's not a fucking Western. He's like, oh shit, this movie's got cowboy in the name. I'm going to go see this. Shit, this ain't about no cowboys.
Exactly.
No, that's just like, honestly, fuck him.
Yeah.
Two homosexuals.
Like, are there still people out there who like see John Wayne?
Oh yeah, are you kidding me?
Swoon and say that he's their hero and...
Absolutely. He's still huge. He's huge. He's an icon. He's an icon in the same way. And I know that we feel the same way about this other person. It's the same way as like Elvis.
Oh, yeah.
Who I know neither of us are really fans of for kind of the same reasons of just being like this overly American, like white bread, like kind of racist, shitty, gross people.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's how I feel about John Wayne as well.
Yeah. He's just so one note.
I know.
Like,
and he talks so slow.
I don't get why he was this massive star. I really don't understand.
Yeah.
I'd much rather take a Jimmy Stewart Western or a Gary Cooper Western. It's like, or even fucking Randolph Scott, who's kind of boring. It's more interesting than John Wayne, because John Wayne just kind of has like one mode.
Yeah. Smug, hard ass.
Yeah. I still think if you haven't seen Stagecoach, you should still at least see that, because it's very tight and John Wayne is like part of an ensemble in it. And I do think it kind of has like a more profound quality than this movie has, like the way it kind of lingers on people's faces. Oh, another thing I noticed about The Searchers, not a lot of close-ups in this movie.
No, and I think it would have done it really good.
I think it would have done it well too, because what ends up happening is you end up feeling kind of disconnected from the characters.
I agree.
And I think not like you need these Sergio Leone super close-ups, but like, you know, I feel there were a couple close-ups that when they happened, I was startled by them because we get so few of them.
That's what I said. Like, I think, like, for example, the scene where a bunch of people are being displaced, like if we had some close-ups there, like it would feel like he actually cares about these people.
Yeah.
But yeah, what are some of the close-ups that you're thinking? Because I'm having a hard time thinking of some.
I can't even remember like the individual shots. I just remember like a couple, and I was like, "Oh wow, a close-up."
You know what I low-key love?
What?
The pan. And again, this is one of the silly scenes. It's when Martin is fighting that singing cowboy whose name I don't know.
I don't know either.
They're basically fighting over Lori, and there's a great pan from like all the spectators who are watching the fight, and then it kind of just like quickly pans to her face and she's smiling huge.
Oh yeah.
Because these guys are fighting for her.
Yeah, yeah.
I like low-key love that.
Yeah. I like that too.
It was really cute. What else?
You know what I love? I love that the dog's name was Chris.
That was a nice touch. It was funny.
Who names the dog Chris?
Chris,
Hey,
yeah,
I
back
love it.
then in like 18...
Yeah. Hey, Chris.
60, yeah, Chris, go away.
Like, is the dog's full name Christopher? Because if so, that's great.
I like the shot where they discover Debbie, where she's the one holding the scalps, the stick with the scalps on it.
Oh, sure, yeah.
It's a good shot.
Yeah. It's a good shot.
And the music swells.
And again, this is VistaVision, which Vertigo was also shot in. Very vibrant, beautiful looking movie. But it's funny because I don't think the whole movie is so beautiful. I think there are individual moments that are beautiful and like really well composed shots. But then there's a lot of just like
maybe because a lot
standard coverage.
Maybe because a lot of it takes place in these very plain brown houses.
It's not even that though, because there's ways to shoot everything, right? It's just like sometimes, like, yeah, you'll have a beautiful shot and then you'll just kind of have like, oh yeah, it looks like they kind of just set the camera up and started rolling.
I agree.
Maybe I'm like diminishing the work on this movie a little too much.
I don't think so.
For the record, I don't hate this. Like, in all the Westerns I've seen, this is probably somewhere in the middle. You know, like it's not my least favorite Western, but it's also it's not even in my top like 20 favorite Westerns.
How did you feel about when the raid is about to happen and the other sister, because that is a close-up, it like zooms in on her face and she just screams like a maniac.
It's maybe a little much. I don't know.
I think it was a little much too.
Yeah. And then the music, I think Max Steiner did the score
Max
for
Steiner.
this. I'm not a huge, and again, this sounds blasphemous because he scored so many classic Hollywood movies. I don't.
That's him, right?
Oh, did he do Gone with the Wind? Okay, well that's a beautiful score. You might be right on that.
Casablanca.
Yeah, but again, there's no special score for Casablanca. It's just the song.
It's just Gone with the Wind.
Here's the thing. There was a certain way that they used to score movies in the 40s and 50s in Hollywood that was just so boring, I guess. And I don't
just
mean
expected.
I'm not trying to totally clown on Max Steiner, who scored so many iconic movies, but it's just like he telegraphs everything in the score, right? Like there's no mystery to it. There's no like, it's just like, oh, this is a fight scene, so we have this punchy music, and then we're doing this, and it's just like, I don't know. I think the score for this is really uninteresting. And I think, again, you compare it to the spaghetti westerns, which, again,
Ennio Morricone.
Ennio Morricone, the greatest. But again, those were 10 years after this.
Yeah.
You know? But still, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I think it has been given this free pass, and I don't think people have stopped to think about it enough and think about how other things are better.
Yeah. This is a case of a movie that maybe was kind of groundbreaking at the time for certain people took notice of this movie, right? And we're like, oh shit, oh, you could do this and you could do that. But it's been so surpassed at this point that this is from a historical point of view. Like, you watch The Searchers because of its place in history and not because it's this great film still in the year 2022.
So. What is your favorite site?
My favorite site is, I'm not going to say the doorway shot.
I know. I also am not going to say the doorway shot.
I felt like it was off limits. You know,
it is.
I'm going to say the first snow scene that you have with Marty and Ethan, where they're sitting on their horses. They're both framed. There's some branches in the way and it's starting to lightly snow. And it's kind of an ominous, the way that the scene's played is a little ominous, like winter's coming and stuff like that. It's just it's a beautiful looking shot.
And then they don't suffer from the cold.
They do not. You never see them suffer from the cold.
Yeah.
What about you?
I really love the shot when it's the line of the search party. It's when they had a bunch of people. It's when all the Texas Rangers are with them. It's towards the beginning of their search. And there's a line of them walking in the dirt. And then they slowly, they see like a line of Comanches just parallel to them. And they're both walking at the same time. He's like, don't look at them. Don't look at them. And then they get surrounded by the other side. So when they're surrounded on both sides and walking parallel, do you know what shot I'm talking about?
Absolutely.
It's a great
They're
shot.
on the dunes.
Yeah.
Comanche.
Yeah.
Yeah. What about your favorite sound? I think we might have a similar one. I think it's this guy, right?
The singing cowboy?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I wonder if we have the same one.
It's gotta be. I'm just gonna play it and then you tell me, okay?
I'll thank you to unhand my fiancé.
You know what's so funny, Jackie? I had two sounds. Look at what the first one says.
The first one says unhand my No, you wrote fiance though.
I know.
Look what I wrote.
Fiance.
I wrote fiancé.
Oh, I love it. That was tied for me.
Oh my God.
And it was my favorite sound until a couple minutes later.
What does he say?
The same guy
He says some funny stuff.
has another great line.
Get him up! Get him up! Make him fight fair! Marty, come on! All right, now you fight fair, Marty!
Hey, wait a minute, Marty! Huh? Somebody's fiddle.
Somebody's fiddle.
Just that he has enough respect for the musical instrument, for the fiddle, to make sure it doesn't get harmed
he's a
in the
guitar
fight.
player. He serenades women with his magical guitar. See, that's what I don't understand.
Yeah, that
it's
guy
like,
does not belong in this
what?
movie.
Yeah.
Neither-
Fiancé?
The clips we just played don't belong in this movie.
Ridiculous clips.
Yeah.
I don't know. What does Pauline say? I have to know.
Pauline.
Oh, no.
This is the segment where we talk about Pauline Kael, the esteemed New Yorker film critic, who was the boss, the Bruce Springsteen of the film criticism world. So she's talking about the doorway at the beginning and the close of the movie. And she says, you can read a lot into it, but it isn't very enjoyable. The lines are often awkward and the line reading's worse, and the film is often static. Agreed!
Yes!
Despite economic quick editing. Maybe. What made this John Ford Western fascinating to the young directors who hailed it in the 70s as a great work and as a key influence on them is the compulsiveness of Ethan's search for his niece and his bitter, vengeful racism. Again, you'd see this in Taxi Driver and stuff, right? She talks about Natalie Wood's glossy makeup as if she were going to a 50s prom.
Yeah, she's wearing lipstick. That's so good.
The film doesn't develop Ethan's macho savagery. It's just there. He kills buffalo so the Comanches won't have meat, and he shoots out the eyes of a dead Comanche.
Stupid.
The sexual undertones of Ethan's character almost seem to belong to a different movie. They don't go with the many crude and corny touches in this one.
Yeah.
You know what's funny? This is my first time reading Pauline's review. We have not read this before. It just so turns out we completely agree with Pauline on this one. Ford's attempts at comic relief are a fizzle, especially the male knockabout humor. an episode involving a fat Indian woman called Look, and the scenes with Hank Warden overacting the role of a crazy man. She says
Is he supposed to be crazy?
the performances are highly variable. Yeah, that's what she said.
I totally agree.
Pauline, we
Our girl.
are on the same page as Pauline in this
We're
one.
all in this together.
See, this is why we love Pauline.
Because she gets it so right when she gets it right.
Yeah. And you know what? It takes guts. It takes two very brave people to come out and trash this very beloved movie. No, listen, we have Pauline behind us. If anyone gives a shit for this episode, and again, I don't hate this movie. It's just not great. Pauline is behind us.
Great.
So if you...
And a lot of people on Letterboxd.
Yes. Should we get into Letterboxd?
Let's do it.
Okay. Half a star. You ready? Horse, horse, bang, bang, casual racism, more horse, more bang, bang, casual racism, punch, punch, the end.
So good.
That sounds more exciting than the actual movie, to be honest.
2 stars, searching for and admirably finding the delete key after watching this awful film.
What?
Delete what? Delete it from your brain?
Delete it from history forever. No, that shouldn't happen. Someone gave it half a star and said, never seen a Western until this one, and I guess you must have been born an American to like this sort of thing. 1 star. Every John Wayne movie I watch takes another 10 years off my life. I wouldn't say that again. He's been in some good movies.
2.5 stars. Wow, boring and racist. I thought I hadn't given this film a fair shot on my first watch, but apparently it's just as boring as I thought it was. Pales in comparison to Ford's other Westerns.
Totally true. Totally true. 2 stars. I thought had a decent idea of what I was getting into, but then John Wayne showed up in a gray fucking coat.
Yeah. Yeah, he's a Confederate veteran who didn't want to surrender.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
2.5 stars. Fun movie fact. John Wayne was such a dedicated method actor that he devoted his entire life to being a terrible racist so he could accurately portray one in the movies like this. Wow. He cared so much about his art that that only death itself could make him stop advocating for white supremacy.
Oh, boy.
Okay, 1.5 stars. I like these short ones. 1.5 stars. Oh, brother, this guy stinks. That's The Searchers. I mean...
Can you do a good Southern accent? Let's hear it. Probably better than I can.
What do you want me to say?
Like say, Pa, the kettle's on the fire.
Pa, the kettle's on the fire.
It's pretty good. Pa, the kettle's on the fire. That was bad. Yours is better.
I generally like accents, and I like doing accents, and I like imitating people.
I'm so bad at them. You're better. You're way better.
What are we watching next week?
Next week, we are taking on the D.W. Griffith epic,
Oh, God.
Intolerance.
You know what was funny? Like, a comparison to like Birth of a Nation kind of came up when I was doing my research about this movie. And I thought for a split second, I was like, oh shit, isn't like Birth of a Nation like coming up? Like I thought it was Birth of a Nation, but it's not. It's Intolerance.
Yeah.
Which was his response to people calling him a racist because of Birth of a Nation.
Yeah, this is his follow-up. I don't. Neither of us have seen it.
I know. I'm excited.
Yeah, this is a big one. It's a nice, like, almost 3-hour silent epic.
Great.
So buckle up, guys, because we're doing Intolerance.
Bye.
Bye.
Y'all take care now.
Go on down that trail. Seen and Heard is presented by the Arroyo Film Club. Produced by and starring Greg Kleinschmidt and Jacqueline Pistachian. Edited by Greg Kleinschmidt. Music by Andrew Cox. Special thanks to Kathryn Ferentchak.